Hello and welcome back to Underdog Investing. So today I'd like to talk about Lemonade. Firstly, going through the stock price and then talking about the insider trading that's been happening recently and Daniel Schreiber's response to this insider trading. And then finally I'd talk a bit about what I think is going to happen with the stock price. And before I jump into the video, I'd be grateful if you can smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for future updates. So starting with the stock price, you can see that we're midday on Friday the 5th of February and it's about $144, which is about 2% down. And jumping straight into this insider trading, so I'm on the SecForm 4 website and you can see all the transactions from the insiders. Now the two that I'm mainly interested in is Daniel Schreiber, the CEO, and Shai Wininger, the co-founder. So starting with Shai Wininger, we're going to have a look at some of his transactions. So you can see that most of his transactions were actually in December. In fact, all of them were. Starting with the 7th of December, he just traded a few shares for about $99 per share. So he made about $90,000. So that was nothing considering he's got about 3.9 million shares. And then the next few trades were also quite insignificant. His largest trade was on the 21st of December, in which he sold about almost 400,000 shares at around $121 per share. So this was about 47 million. And despite all of this selling, he's only sold about 600,000 shares. So he still owns about 85% of his shares. So I'm not too concerned about Shai Wininger. The one I'm more concerned about is Daniel Schreiber. So if we have a look at Daniel Schreiber, you can see that he's sold over the last few months. So he made some sales in November, December, as well as January. And he's actually sold a significant amount of his shares. Starting with November, you can see that he sold about 77,000 shares at $57 for about 4.5 million. And then on November the 17th, he sold about 34,000 shares. And then on December the 1st, 168,000 shares for $74 for about 12 million. And it just starts, it keeps getting bigger. So on the 8th of December, he actually sold 218,000 shares. And that was for 20 million. And finally, most recently, on the 19th of January, he sold 300,000 shares for an average price of $160. And so he made about 47 million. So what's most concerning about this is that he only owns 50,000 shares now. So he started with about 900,000 and he only owns 50,000 shares now. The other thing that's a bit concerning is the directors selling. So if you have a look here, some of the directors have been selling 82 million worth of shares, 15 million worth of shares again on the 21st of January. So what's causing all of this selling? We weren't too sure, and obviously for investors like myself and yourself, it's a bit concerning, especially when we're not given an explanation. The great thing is there was recently an interview between the Couch Investor and Dave Lee on YouTube, and during this interview they talked about Lemonade, and Dave Lee actually mentioned one of the concerns that he had was with this whole insider selling and the fact that we haven't actually heard any explanations. So there was someone who put out a tweet saying, "Great point, hey Dave and Couch Investors channel. It would be awesome if Daniel Schreiber, Shai Wininger and other insiders gave some narrative around why there had been significant insider selling. We love the company and are happy for you, but would appreciate a narrative." So that was put out on the 3rd of February. And finally we've got a response. So it was a 3-tweet response from Daniel Schreiber, the CEO himself. So 21 hours ago. "Thanks for the question and concern. I totally get it. Please know that for both Shai and I, the overwhelming majority of our net worth is invested in Lemonade. And we don't expect that to change anytime soon. We're long Lemonade." And the second point he made was, "Important to know that insider sales are generally triggered algorithmically, automatically by 10b5-1 plans that have been in place for some time. When Lemonade appreciated fast, that resulted in what looked like concentrated selling, but that's more noise than signal." And his final tweet was, "Also, for what it's worth, an overwhelming majority of the board members' reported selling is actually their funds, They are venture capitalists distributing their shares to their investors, not a sale at all. Again, noise, not signal. So there's really a lot of information from these 3 tweets, and he's actually something that I really appreciate, the fact that the CEO has actually taken his time to respond to these questions to put us as investors at ease. So the first one was quite reassuring, the fact that most of their net worth is still tied to Lemonade. That's always a good sign when the people who are at the top of the company believe in it. The second point is this whole 10b5-1 algorithmic selling. So what is 10b5-1? A Rule 10b5-1 is a pre-arranged plan under SEC Rule 10b5-1 that provides a defense against charges of insider trading if you later trade stock while you know confidential, important information about your company. So I think what's happened here is that someone like Daniel Schreiber, the CEO, he has insider information. So if he trades Lemonade based on the insider information, technically that's a bit like cheating, so it's not really legal. So what they've actually done is had some algorithm in place in which automatic selling of shares would take place once they reach a certain level. So this levels the playing field, so it's nothing to worry about. I don't think they actually sold shares because of a fundamental change or something that they're concerned about with the company. And the final thing was the insider selling in terms of the board members, and what he said was it wasn't actually selling the shares, so they're just redistributing shares to the investors. Again, that's very reassuring. So finally, I just want to talk a bit about what I think is going to happen to the actual stock price. And before I do that, I just want to show you the 6-month chart. So you can see that for over half a month now, almost a month, you can see that we've been trading around the 140 to 150 range. And we're actually consolidating nicely around this range. And what I think is going to happen is that this is really setting us up for a big move, either upwards or downwards. And I just want to have a look at the earnings date. So you can see the earnings date is on Tuesday, the 9th of February, so it's very soon. And let's have a look at the previous earning dates and what happened to the stock price to give us an idea of what we could expect. So Q2 and Q3 of 2020. Starting with Q2 of 2020, you can see that the earnings report was on August the 11th, and we actually missed the estimated earning by about 37%. And let's see what happened to the stock price on August the 11th. So this was August the 11th, and you can see that once we missed the earnings, we dropped about 25%, so it's quite a significant downturn. And let's see what happened when we beat the earnings, because in Q3, which was on November the 10th, we actually beat the earnings by 17%. So November the 10th, we were at $65, and then we had a very brief dip of about 15%, but you know what happened afterwards. We've had a 120% increase in the stock price since then. So based on the last 2 quarters, although we can't exactly say what's going to happen to the stock price, I think most likely if we beat the earnings, we're going to see a significant increase in the stock price, and if we don't beat the earnings, we'll probably see quite a significant drawback as well. I personally am quite bullish about the earnings, especially with the recent good news regarding the launch of pet insurance, the expanding to France, as well as the rolling out of the life term insurance. So I think there's lots of good things happening with the company, especially in the long term. Short term, I'm not 100% sure. We have to wait till the 9th of February. So that's the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, please do smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. What do you think about this whole insider trading, and what do you think is going to happen on the 9th of February with the earnings, and do you think it's going to go up or down? And if you found it useful in any way, please do share this video. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video.